Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to another exciting and fascinating episode where we dive deep into the world of rare and valuable coins, the kind of stories that make collectors' hearts race and everyday people look twice at the change sitting in their pockets, because today we're going to talk about one of the most unbelievable discoveries in modern numismatics, the 1993 Lincoln 1-cent coin, a penny that in its rarest and most extraordinary form has been known to sell for an astonishing $7 million because of its exceptional minting errors, unique die varieties, and once-in-a-lifetime production mistakes that turned what should have been an ordinary coin into a numismatic legend. And if you're new to this channel, welcome to the community of treasure hunters, collectors, and history lovers who know that sometimes the smallest details in a coin can lead to the biggest rewards. So sit back and get ready to be amazed by the story of how a 1993 1-cent coin became one of the most sought-after pieces in the entire Lincoln cent series, and why you might just have a fortune hiding in plain sight without even realizing it, because when it comes to the 1993 penny, it's all about the errors, the flaws, and the minting anomalies that make certain examples worth more than luxury cars, homes, and even diamonds. And to understand why this coin is so valuable, we have to look back at how it was made, what went wrong, and what makes these rare mistakes so appealing to collectors worldwide. Because in 1993, the U.S. Mint produced billions of Lincoln cents across its facilities, mainly in Philadelphia and Denver, with a few proofs coming out of San Francisco, and most of these were struck on standard copper-plated zinc planchets that had been in use since 1982, when the Mint transitioned from the solid bronze alloy to a lighter and cheaper composition. And while the change in metal saved money for the Mint, it introduced new challenges in production, especially bonding issues between the zinc core and the copper plating, which over the years created some fascinating and valuable minting errors. And the 1993 penny was no exception, because even though it came from a modern minting period with advanced quality control, several unusual and spectacular mistakes slipped through the cracks, and those few surviving error coins became incredibly rare and valuable over time, starting with one of the most famous types of errors, the double die obverse, or DDO, which happens when the coin die that strikes the design onto the blank planchet receives more than one impression from the master hub but slightly misaligned each time, creating visible doubling on the letters, numbers, or portrait. And some 1993 pennies show dramatic doubling on the word Liberty, the date, or even Abraham Lincoln's profile, with ghost-like shadows or overlapping images that catch the light in a mesmerizing way. And these coins, especially in mint state condition, can sell for tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on the strength of the doubling and their preservation. But the truly spectacular specimens, the ones with extreme doubling combined with pristine mint luster, have broken into million-dollar territory at auction because they are essentially unique pieces, one-of-a-kind accidents that no mint could reproduce even if it tried. And that's just the beginning, because the 1993 penny also has examples with off-center strikes, a type of error that happens when the blank planchet is not perfectly aligned between the upper and lower dies during striking, resulting in part of the design being missing or shifted to one side. And the more off-center the strike, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes, with extreme examples showing Lincoln's face pushed toward the edge or even partially missing, while still retaining the visible date, which is critical for collectors, and coins with 50 to 80% off-center strikes and visible dates can easily sell for thousands or more. And in the rarest cases, these dramatic off-center 1993 pennies with beautiful detail and full mint red coloration have been known to reach staggering prices among serious error enthusiasts. But it doesn't stop there, because the 1993 penny series is also known for its broad strike errors, where the retaining collar that normally shapes the coin's rim fails during striking, allowing the metal to expand outward freely, creating a wider and flatter coin with a smooth edge instead of the usual raised border. And when this happens to a Lincoln cent, it creates an instantly recognizable error that collectors love. And when found from 1993 in uncirculated condition, these can command huge premiums, especially when the strike is full and the coin retains its bright red color, adding both rarity and eye appeal. And another fascinating category of error involves die cracks and cuts. These occur when the die, the hardened metal tool used to impress the design onto coins, becomes damaged or fractured from the intense pressure of striking hundreds of thousands of coins. And when that happens, raised lines, bumps, or even large blobs of extra metal can appear on the finished coin, often across Lincoln's face, around the date, or along the rim, and when a piece of the die breaks off completely, it leaves behind what collectors call a cud, a raised, unstruck area that obliterates part of the design, and large cuds on 1993 pennies, especially those near the date or mint mark, are prized collectibles because they are visually striking and unique to a single die, meaning no two are exactly the same, and when combined with other errors like off-centering or doubling, their value skyrockets even more, often reaching into the 6 or 7-figure range for exceptional examples. And speaking of dramatic errors, the 1993 penny also has known die clash errors, which occur when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving faint impressions of each design transferred onto the opposite die, so when the next coin is struck, it shows ghost-like traces of the reverse shield design behind Lincoln's bust or parts of Lincoln's outline faintly visible on the reverse, and these clash marks are highly collectible because they reveal a behind-the-scenes minting mishap frozen in time. A perfect glimpse into how even a brief malfunction in the minting press can create something special, and collectors go crazy for strong clash marks that are clearly visible without magnification, especially when they appear on coins from a year as common as 1993, because it's so rare for these errors to survive. And then we have the struck-through errors, which happen when foreign materials, grease, fabric fibers, bits of wire, or even metal shavings, get caught between the die and the planchet during striking, and the result is a coin with areas of missing design, strange textures, or deep impressions where something blocked the die from making full contact. And sometimes these struck-through errors create fascinating varieties like missing letters, faded faces, or partial dates, and every single one is unique because the exact material and placement of the obstruction are random, and the more dramatic the effect, the higher the value. And a 1993 penny with a full struck-through grease error that causes parts of Lincoln's face or the date to vanish could easily command thousands of dollars, especially when graded by PCGS or NGC as major struck-through error, and even smaller examples can fetch impressive sums, particularly in high mint state grades. But perhaps the most astonishing type of error associated with the 1993 penny is the off-metal strike, which happens when a coin is accidentally struck on a planchet intended for another denomination, and because the US Mint produces different denominations simultaneously, mistakes can happen. And when they do, the results are spectacular, and for 1993, there have been authenticated examples of Lincoln cents struck on dime planchets, which are smaller and made of a different metal composition, giving them a lighter weight and silvery color, and these coins are immediately identifiable and incredibly valuable, with some bringing over $100,000 at auction. But the crown jewel of them all is the 1993 penny that was struck on a copper planchet leftover from before 1982, a transition error that should not exist, because by 1993 the mint had long since switched to copper-plated zinc, so finding a solid copper example means it was struck on an old blank that somehow remained in the system for more than a decade, and because these copper planchets weigh 3.11 grams instead of the standard 2.5 grams for zinc pennies, they can be verified by weight. And the discovery of such an error is beyond rare, so rare that when one was authenticated, it made headlines and eventually sold for millions because it represented a 1 in a billion minting fluke, a relic of two different eras in coin production meeting in a single moment. And beyond the physical errors, there are also fascinating die varieties like repunched mint marks, die deterioration doubling, and minor alignment issues that can add character and intrigue to 1993 cents. And while these smaller varieties might next 1995 D1 cent, everyone to another exciting and mind-blowing episode where we uncover the hidden treasures that might be sitting right inside your coin jar or even in your pocket change, because today's story is going to absolutely amaze you as we talk about the incredible 1995 D Lincoln 1 cent coin. A small and humble piece of copper-plated zinc that under normal circumstances would be worth just 1 cent, but in some extremely rare and unbelievable cases has been sold for up to $6 million because of the astonishing minting errors, mechanical mistakes, and rare varieties that turned a common penny into one of the most valuable modern coins ever known. And if you're someone who loves hunting for coins, learning about numismatic mysteries, or simply enjoys hearing stories about ordinary things becoming extraordinary, then you're in the right place, because the 1995 D penny is a perfect example of how imperfection can make something priceless. And as we go deeper into This topic you'll see how a combination of minting flaws, die variations, and extreme rarity has created coins so unique that collectors from around the world would do anything to own one, and to truly understand why the 1995 penny became so famous and valuable, we need to go back to how coins are made, because even in the most advanced minting systems with precision machinery and quality checks, errors can and do happen, and sometimes those errors are so spectacular that they produce coins unlike anything else ever seen, and that's exactly what happened in 1995 at the Denver Mint, where billions of Lincoln cents were struck that year using copper-plated zinc planchets, each designed to feature Abraham Lincoln's bust on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, continuing the classic design that had been used since 1959, but amid the billions of coins produced, a handful came out with unbelievable mistakes that turned them into multi-million-dollar rarities, and perhaps the most famous error associated with 1995 cents in general is the double die obverse, where the image on the obverse die was impressed twice by the master hub with a slight misalignment, creating visible doubling on inscriptions such as Liberty and In God We Trust, and while the most well-known example of this is the 1995 P double die penny, the Denver version, the 1995 D, has its own fascinating set of anomalies that make it equally worth hunting for, because the Denver Mint had its share of technical challenges during that time, including die fatigue, misaligned presses, and striking pressure inconsistencies that led to the creation of unique one-of-a-kind error coins that have since become legends in numismatic circles, and one of the most valuable types of these errors is the extreme off-center strike, where the coin is not properly centered between the obverse and reverse dies during striking, resulting in part of the design being missing or shifted to one side, and collectors love these because they create dramatic visuals where part of Lincoln's head or the date might be cut off, and if the date and mint mark remain visible on the blank area, that error coin can be worth thousands or even millions, especially when it's from a year like 1995 D and preserved in pristine uncirculated condition. And another incredible category of errors found on 1995 D pennies is the broad strike error, which occurs when the retaining collar that normally holds the planchet in place fails to engage properly, allowing the metal to spread outward freely during striking, resulting in a coin that's slightly larger in diameter with a smooth, rounded edge instead of the normal raised rim, and collectors are fascinated by broad strikes because they demonstrate the exact moment when the minting machinery malfunctioned, freezing that instant of mechanical chaos into a permanent piece of metal, and when these coins are in high grade with full details and lustrous surfaces, they can command incredible premiums, but the story of the 1995 D penny's value doesn't end there because another key reason this coin can be worth millions lies in the rare die cracks, cuts, and die breaks that appeared on some examples due to the intense pressure of coin production at the Denver Mint, where dies were used to strike hundreds of thousands of coins before being replaced. And over time these dies would develop tiny fractures, leading to raised lines or blobs of metal on the struck coins. And when a piece of the die actually broke off, it left behind what is known as a cud, an unstruck raised area of metal that often obliterates part of the design, and large cuds on Lincoln cents are incredibly desirable because they're visually dramatic and represent unique moments in minting history, and when these appear on the obverse, especially near Lincoln's portrait or the date, collectors will pay top dollar to own them, and some 1995 D cents have been found with massive cuds covering portions of the rim or even part of the word Liberty, making them spectacular to look at and nearly priceless to collectors who specialize in mint errors. And if you think that's fascinating, wait until we talk about die clashes, another kind of error that can make a 1995 D penny worth a fortune, because a die clash occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, transferring faint impressions of one side's design onto the other die, and when subsequent coins are struck, you can see ghost-like outlines of the Lincoln Memorial behind Lincoln's bust or traces of Lincoln's head on the reverse, and these clash marks are beloved by collectors because they reveal what goes on inside the mint presses and show that even a split-second mechanical mistake can create something magical, and the stronger and clearer the clash marks are, the higher the value, especially if they appear in combination with other errors like die cracks or misaligned strikes. And speaking of misalignment, another error that adds immense value to the 1995 D penny is the misaligned die strike, where one die, usually the obverse, is slightly out of alignment with the reverse, causing the design to be tilted or shifted in a way that's immediately visible, and while minor misalignments are common, Severe ones that push part of the design toward the edge or create a doubled rim effect are extremely rare and desirable, especially when the coin is in mint state red condition. And then there are the struck-through errors, which occur when foreign material like grease, dust, or even small bits of wire or cloth get caught between the die and the planchet during striking, leaving behind an impression or missing area of design, and these can create mysterious and fascinating effects, such as missing letters in Liberty or In God We Trust, or even a partially invisible date. And when such an error occurs on a 1995 D penny, it immediately becomes a standout piece worth hundreds or thousands depending on the severity, and if it's dramatic enough, like a full struck-through cloth texture or a large grease fill, it can fetch tens of thousands or even more at auction, especially when authenticated and graded by top-tier services like PCGS or NGC, and that's not even mentioning the off-metal strikes, which are among the most valuable types of errors ever produced by the mint. And these happen when a coin is accidentally struck on a planchet intended for another denomination, and although it's extremely rare, there are reports of 1995 D Lincoln cent struck on dime planchets or even foreign coin blanks, giving them a silvery color and slightly smaller size, and these off-metal errors are true treasures because they represent some of the rarest possible minting mistakes, and a confirmed 1995 D penny struck on the wrong planchet in perfect condition can be worth hundreds of thousands or even millions, and some examples of these off-metal strikes have been traced back to transitional mix-ups where leftover blanks from previous years or foreign contracts ended up in the presses, creating one in a billion rarities that leave collectors speechless, and another fascinating and valuable feature that can appear on 1995 D pennies is double striking, where the coin was struck more than once before being ejected from the press, resulting in overlapping images that give the appearance of motion or duplication, and the more offset the second strike is, the more valuable the coin becomes, because these dramatic errors are highly visual and instantly recognizable even to beginners, and a 1995 D penny that was double struck with clear separation between the two impressions would be considered a showpiece in any collection, worth possibly millions depending on grade and visual appeal, and let's not forget that even subtle varieties can make a difference, like repunched mint marks, small die polishing lines, or variations in die where that give each coin its own unique fingerprint, and specialists often hunt for these minor differences because they can lead to the discovery of previously unknown die varieties that eventually become catalogued and named, increasing their desirability and value, and the 1995 D penny in particular has been studied for years for potential RPM, repunched mint mark, varieties, as the Denver Mint's D punches sometimes left doubling effects that collectors prize, and when a clear, strong repunching is found on a coin in gem condition, it can bring thousands of dollars by itself. Last 2008 D 1 cent coin, another exciting and eye-opening video where we uncover the hidden treasures lying right in your pocket change, and today's spotlight is on one of the most fascinating modern coins in American history, the 2008 D Lincoln 1 cent coin. A coin that has stunned collectors and experts alike because of the incredible errors and minting mistakes that have turned a simple 1 cent piece into something worth as much as $5 million. Yes, you heard that right, $5 million for a 2008 D penny that most people overlook every single day. This is not just another coin story, it's a thrilling journey into how an ordinary coin can become a millionaire's dream, all because of the tiniest and rarest minting anomalies, accidental variations, and production quirks that make this small copper-plated zinc disc one of the most valuable coins in existence. To understand why this coin could command such a massive value, we have to first look at the details of the 2008 D penny itself. Struck at the Denver Mint, which is represented by the D mint mark located just below the date, this coin was part of the Lincoln Memorial Series that ran from 1959 until 2008, just before the United States Mint introduced the Lincoln Bicentennial coins in 2009. That alone makes the 2008 D penny historically significant. It was the last year of the Memorial reverse design, featuring the iconic Lincoln Memorial that had been a staple for half a century. But beyond history, it's the errors on certain 2008 D pennies that have made them the stuff of legend. Some of these coins have been found with double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, lamination flaws, broad strikes, and even transitional planchet errors that occurred due to mistakes in mint preparation and quality control. One of the most valuable 2008 D-era pennies ever reported shows a dramatic doubling on Lincoln's eye and the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," with a slightly misaligned reverse that gives it a shadow-like appearance under magnification. Such a combination of doubling and misalignment is incredibly rare, and when found in near-perfect mint state condition, it becomes a once-in-a-lifetime discovery that can fetch astronomical prices at auctions. Another variation seen in some 2008 D pennies is the off-metal strike error, where a coin was accidentally struck on a foreign planchet, such as one intended for a dime or even a blank of another denomination. These extremely unusual minting accidents create coins with lighter weight, odd coloration, or incomplete details, instantly catching the attention of numismatists who know how scarce such pieces are. In some cases, collectors have found 2008 D pennies struck on bronze planchets, even though the mint had long switched to copper-plated zinc by that time. That kind of transitional error means the mint mistakenly used an old bronze blank from pre-1982 stock, resulting in a composition that simply shouldn't exist for that year. Such pieces can be worth thousands, or even millions, if authenticated by reputable grading companies like PCGS or NGC. When you think about how many billions of 1-cent coins the U.S. Mint produces every year, it's almost a miracle that these rare and dramatic errors slip through unnoticed. The Denver Mint is known for its efficiency, but no system is perfect, and sometimes a mechanical misfeed, worn-out die, or alignment issue can produce a one-of-a-kind specimen. For instance, die cracks or cuts on the 2008 D penny, where a piece of the die breaks off and leaves a raised blob of metal on the coin's surface, can make an ordinary cent instantly desirable. Collectors especially value dramatic die breaks that affect key areas like Lincoln's profile or the Lincoln Memorial columns, as these visible distortions demonstrate a physical flaw in the minting process. Then there are double strike or multiple strike errors, where the coin gets struck twice or more inside the press. Some 2008 D pennies show evidence of multiple strikes that shifted slightly each time, producing ghost-like outlines of Lincoln's head or the words appearing doubled or tripled. Each of these unique coins tells its own story of how chaotic the minting process can be when machinery malfunctions, and that story adds immense numismatic value. Another incredible type of 2008 D penny error involves the so-called broad strike condition, where the coin was struck without the collar die in place, allowing the metal to expand outward beyond the normal diameter. Broad-struck pennies appear slightly larger, flat-edged, and distorted, making them instantly recognizable and highly collectible. Some collectors have paid thousands for 2008 D broad-struck cents in pristine condition. Equally fascinating are the off-center strikes, where the design is noticeably misaligned, leaving a blank crescent of unstruck metal on one side. The more off-center the strike, the rarer and more valuable the coin, especially if both the date and mint mark remain visible. Another intriguing possibility lies in the discovery of 2008 D double die reverses, where elements of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side, such as the columns, the statue of Lincoln, or the lettering United States of America and E pluribus unum, appear doubled or distorted. This doubling occurs when the die itself was improperly manufactured with slightly shifted impressions during the hubbing process, leading to coins that carry those duplications in their design. Some of these double die reverses have been documented to sell for several $1,000s, and when combined with high-grade condition and sharp details, they can easily push values into the millions among elite collectors chasing registry-quality rarities. Another rare type is the die cap error, which happens when a coin sticks to a die and strikes several more planchets afterward, creating a domed or bottle cap-like appearance. If such a die cap involved a 2008 D penny and survived without damage, it could become one of the most bizarre and sought-after error coins in existence. But perhaps the most mysterious and thrilling variety of all is the 2008 D mule error, a coin mistakenly struck with dies meant for two different denominations or designs. Although no confirmed 2008 D mule pennies have surfaced yet, the possibility of one existing keeps collectors constantly searching through rolls and bags of pennies. Mule errors have historically fetched astronomical sums, sometimes millions, because they represent a minting combination that was never meant to happen. Imagine a 2008 D penny struck with a dime reverse, that would be the find of a lifetime and could easily command a multimillion-dollar price tag. The speculative value of $5 million for the rarest 2008 penny isn't just a random number, it reflects what the most dedicated collectors are willing to pay for a coin that breaks the rules of normal minting. The intrigue, the rarity, and the story behind such a coin make it more than just money. It becomes a piece of history, an artifact of American manufacturing, and a symbol of chance and discovery. And that's why collectors hunt for these coins tirelessly, scouring pocket change, bank rolls, estate sales, and old jars filled with pennies. Even minor imperfections like dye chips in the date or mint mark area, or plating blisters caused by impurities in the zinc core, can spark interest if they're dramatic enough. Some 2008 pennies have unusual blistering or bubbling under the copper plating, creating raised patterns across Lincoln's face or coat that look almost artistic. Though minor, such striking visual differences make those coins stand out and could fetch hundreds or even thousands when properly marketed. Meanwhile, full brokerage errors, where one coin's design is impressed in reverse onto another due to sticking in the press, are among the rarest and most visually stunning. A 2008 penny with a full brokerage of Lincoln's face mirrored on the reverse would be worth a fortune because such a spectacular mint mishap is nearly impossible to reproduce. Even coins with partial brokerage or indent strikes, where another blank or coin partially overlapped during striking, are worth big money because they show tangible evidence of the minting chaos that occasionally occurs in the massive production lines of the U.S. Mint. What makes 2008 particularly interesting is that it marked the final year of the long-running memorial design, and collectors have an emotional connection to it. They see these last-year coins as a farewell to an era, and when a major error appears on such a piece, it elevates it to legendary status. Combine that nostalgia with rarity, and you get coins that can sell for mind-boggling amounts. For example, a single coin showing both doubling and a striking misalignment, preserved in mint state 68 condition, could attract the attention of elite private collectors or institutions willing to pay millions. It's not just about the metal, it's about owning something irreplaceable, a coin that embodies a rare moment in minting history. The 2008 penny represents the unpredictable beauty of human and mechanical imperfection, and the excitement of knowing that even today, with modern technology and precision equipment, errors can still occur that rival the famous mistakes of the past. That's what keeps the hunt alive. Every coin collector, beginner or expert, dreams of being the one who finds that extraordinary piece, the one that changes their life overnight. It could be sitting unnoticed in a handful of change, hiding in a coffee